Hi everybody in Ghosts and Paranormal in Ontario. I've been involved in some conversations today about smudging and clearing and someone who's genuinely concerned or afraid. And I thought, you can't convey what I'm trying to explain in typed word, especially in a very small amount of space, and my typing's not the greatest on the computer. So I'm going to give some of you the benefit of my 60 years of experience, most of which was terrifying in my younger years because I really didn't understand what was going on. And back in the 60s and 70s, there was nobody to explain precisely what was going on and why things were happening. So after a lot of years of paranormal things, I know some stuff. And the best way to get people out of that paranoid, afraid kind of a feeling, especially when something happens and it's shocking and you don't know what to do. When you have the tools to know what to do, that fear is gone, you are in control, and that is why I like to teach people how to do these things themselves. Yes, by all means, like go to classes, read books, join sites like this, do all those things, but use that as a part of your learning tools to advance to the next stage and the next stage and the next stage. One of the things that I'm trained in, crystal healing, energy work, like there's a lot of that in my older years suddenly became available to me. And I'm like, okay, there's that one little piece that I was missing. Like, you know, so this is why I do this. The initial question was, what words do I use? I want to smudge, there's something bad going on, or my friend has something bad going on. So I'm not quite sure. There was a couple of conversations going on at the same time, so I'm not sure if this person is the person that the original question was about or if it's something different. So here it goes. Yes, there are the right words to use, but the right words can also be used in a bad and wrong way. Let me explain about energy and how it works. And you need to know that because when you're talking about the paranormal and non-materialized beings or things, it's all energy. Even we are energy. We're just very slow moving. So one of the things that you need to understand, there is one energy. That is source energy, God energy, creator energy. I don't care what label you give it. One energy. And it's all different frequencies of that one energy. To give it an explanation so you can grasp it a little better, think of water. Very slow moving water. The slowest moving water that there is ice. Think of that as the negative type of energies that you might be dealing with. Or it could be slushy. It could be, you know, still a little ice, still a little water, but not quite. And we're kind of the slush. I hate to break everybody's bubbles, but we're sort of slushy. We have negative and we have positive energy in us. Most of us are striving to raise that energy. Even the people that are the darkest people we think have ever existed, they're still striving to get their energies higher. But no matter what's going on, we're all still the same energy. So then you've got like the slush, then the slush goes to water, which is more liquid and moving around, and you've got elemental beings and the other beings that can sort of tolerate earth energies, can come and go. A lot of people, when you see like fairies and pixies and leprechauns and all of these lovely little things, and Bigfoot and other certain kinds of animals, and they're sort of interdimensional. They're liquid and fluid, and they can move into different areas. And then you have sort of steam. So steam would be like angels and things like that that are higher still. And then you have water vapor, which is invisible. You cannot see it. It's there. It is absolutely everywhere and a part of everything. That would be like source energy. So that's kind of, in human terms, a very loose way of explaining it. Okay, so I've got this thing happening. I want to clear it. Just give me the damn energy, Michelle, or the damn instructions. So here we go. You cannot use your words in any way, shape, or form, no matter how well-intentioned you're thinking you're using them, as a weapon. You cannot. You cannot take the Bible and slam it down on somebody and expect to get good results. It's not going to work. What you want to do is you want to move your ice cube energy up beyond what it's at to a point where source energy can deal with it. Source energy is love and light. That's it. Very simple. Sounds like a la-di-da fantasy thing. That's it. That is the creative energy. So one energy, that's the highest form. So when you want to clear somewhere, I very rarely use smudge anymore. The reason that most people have to use smudge is because they can physically see it. It gives them focus, and that helps them to do what they need to do. I see energy, so I don't really need to see the smoke floating around to know that what I'm doing is changing the energy in the room. I can feel it, I can see it, I can smell it, all of that. So, and at some point, when you've been doing a lot of stuff, you don't have to be a super sensitive, or you don't have to be, everybody has the same qualities, the same energy. It's experience and a lot of other things that just make a person sensitive or not. You can't just will yourself to be sensitive because you're forcing it, which is negative, and you will make it lower. So it's possible to take something with good intentions and take it from this level and make it this level. So what we want to do is you want to take whatever the negative thing is that you believe is happening, and it may not necessarily be paranormal. There's so many explanations that it could be, which I will have in proper videos on my site at some point. So you've got what you believe is something in your house. I'm just going to do it in a general way. You have to bring down the light of source. You have to ground it to Earth's vibration. It's so high that you can bring good source energy into yourself or into the area. But if you don't ground it to our manifested or physical selves, it can be very destructive. Not that it's bad energy, but if it's used in the wrong way, it can become bad energy. And I've seen workers who claim to know what they're doing and have gotten incredibly ill because they may have forgotten to ground properly, or they may have forgotten to do one little thing because they got afraid and they just lashed out and did something, because we're human and that happens. And it can make you very sick. I've seen healers I've seen miraculous healings. Absolutely, like in x-rays and things, people that I know. But the healer, because they were just so wrapped up in helping this person that they forgot to ground the energy to our manifested level and got incredibly ill, like incredibly. So you do have to be careful with that, which is why I want to tell you this in person instead of just writing it, because on there it's just words and it's impersonal, and it's like, oh, well, I just want the words. Like, just tell me what to say. Well, it doesn't work that way. If you want it to work, and you want it to work every time, you need to know the reasoning behind why you're doing what you're doing and how it works. So we already know about the vibration. So what you're going to do is you need source energy. If you're smudging, you still need that energy. That's what you're using. So imagine the central sun, which most people refer to. Some people might like to think of it as where the Big Bang started. Whatever suits your fancy. Source energy is in the center of the universe, and everything's spread out from that, which is why it's in the center. You might need to close your eyes, especially if you're new at this. If you're very good at visualization, you don't need to. I've been doing it for years and years and years, so I don't need to. But you're going to use your breath to focus on. That way you're not using your ego, which is fear-based, You want to use your heart. But it's kind of hard, if you've never done this before, to be thinking out of your heart or breathing out of your heart. But you don't want to use this up here, because this is where the panic happens. This is where the anxiety happens. And if you're in a negative base and you're using energy to fight this thing, I want it the F out of my house and I don't want it effing around my children, and you're in fight mode, you are feeding it and you're making it bigger. And if there was nothing there in the first place, and you're actually fighting something earthly, like perhaps an electrical outlets aren't grounded properly and you have a lot of EMF in your house, it can make you feel and see some pretty strange stuff. It's not paranormal. It's just badly grounded electricity. So you might not actually be fighting what you think you're fighting, because we think we know, because we're scared and we come up with an idea, or we saw a dark shadow and we think it's bad. That's not how paranormal works. It's just not. That's how ego works. That's how ego that watched Exorcist one day or watched The Conjuring one day went, "Oh, that's what I got." No, that's not what you got. The words and the method. Boom. I swear to God, I'm getting to it. Central sun, you're going to use your breath. You're going to breathe in, always to heart. Then you are going to breathe out, and you're going to push the energy down through your body, out through the bottoms of your feet, and into the ground. The reason you are doing that, like big tree roots, you can shoot them down or as low, however you want to do it. But you must gear this high energy to our manifested level, or it's going to make you sick. It's as simple as that. You can't use ungrounded energy. Okay? So you've got it down. You're going to breathe back in. You're going to breathe that energy back up through your legs, up to heart. And then you're going to send the grounded energy back up to source. You're going to do this at least 3 times. And if you're new at it, you might need to do it 6 times. You might need to do it 10 times. And if you're interrupted, the kid comes in, you hear a scream, whatever, start over. Breathe in. So you're doing this, and it'll start to feel strong. You have to do it at least 3 times. No less than 3, but as many times as you need. When it's starting to feel pretty good and pretty strong, you change the way you do your breaths. You're going to breathe in from source and from earth at the same time. So you're coming up your feet and you're coming down through your head to heart. So you're going to mix those energies now to heart. In, hold, breathe out. And you're going to do that at least 3 times. And it should, if you're not thinking about all the stuff that's going on and you're concentrating solely on your breath and the energy, you should feel it to get stronger. It might be tingly. You might see colors. Like, everybody's different. Some people say, "Oh, I saw this beautiful golden light." And someone else say, "No, I didn't see a golden light. I saw a blue light." All of that is personal to you, however you see it. Doesn't matter. You right now don't concentrate on seeing anything other than feeling in your heart the energy that's gathering. So you've done your in and down to ground. You've done your both to heart and back. You're really strong. You're really good. You got your smudge going. You're all ready to clear. Now, are there words you can use? Yes. I'm going to explain just sending the energy out, because this is what I do all the time. If you're doing the smudging, instead of sending the energy out, you're going to be doing your smudge in the directions. So I've got the energy gathered. It's feeling really strong. I've done my 6 moves, my 1, 2, 3. There we go. We're ready. So you can breathe out or smudge out to the room. And you're going to do 4 directions and above and below. If you're breathing out and you're imagining the energy and you're seeing the energy, imagine it like Glinda from the Good North. Glinda, the Witch of the Good North. What is she? I was talking really well up until that point. Glinda, the Good Witch of the North in The Wizard of Oz, and her bubble. because that's kind of how it will appear. So you can blow out and you can expand the energy around your body in like a bubble, or you can do the smudging around your body like a bubble, because you're doing exactly the same thing with the smudge that you're doing with the bubble. And every time you do it, you get bigger and bigger. You can expand from your room to the hallway, to the next room, to the basement, like you cover everything. And then when you get to the attic and the basement, you imagine the bubble expanding through and around, so it's in the ground and up into the sky. At this point, most people will say from foundations to rooftop to foundations, or from rooftop to foundations. Or you can start at the roof, from rooftop to foundations, from foundations to rooftop. Doesn't matter if you do it backwards, still the idea is there. And then you imagine it going even bigger. You can do it to the four corners of your property. When it gets to the four corners of your property, you can say, to the four corners of my property. And then you can say, I clear you with the highest light of the One, harming none, if it is the will of the One. So mote it be, or blessed be, or love and light, whatever the ending is that you love. The one that is in your heart is the right to say. That's what you say. This is not used in a banishing way. This is used as bringing light. Imagine it like you're glitter bombing the place with love and light. I know that sounds airy-fairy, but it works because the high vibration of source energy is moving into the slow one. And what happens is it's going to break up and it's going to dissipate. But what it's really doing, like the ice cube, it's vibrating faster and faster. It goes from ice to slush to steam to vapor. So what it's doing is it's returning back to the source energy that it originally was, which is why it works. Now, if you are coming from your head and not your heart, if you don't think that this can work, if you still have fears about it working, it's done. It won't work. So when you have doubts, and we all do, what do? You do it again. You might have to smudge 3 times a day, morning, noon, and night. You might do it in the morning and at night. You might do it every single day for a week, maybe 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks. Depends on where your head is at. Technically, you only need to do it once. But if this energy is being caused by a person who lives in the house, I would say 99.9% of all of the negative energy on Earth is created by man. Simple and to the point. So we're trying to change that energy. So if you've got someone who's living in the house who's afraid all the time, and it could be something normal that made them afraid. It could be EMFs in the house that's making them feel weird and they're afraid. Maybe a child in the house heard mommy and daddy talking about COVID, or any number of things that are happening right now and are afraid. That can change the energy. But the clearing that you did worked. So if there's another person in the house who thinks it's all a bunch of, hooey, or someone's afraid and they're a child and they don't have the necessary abilities to move beyond that, to think beyond that, then you might have to clear a lot. And it will get really quick and really fast the more you do it. So, in the morning, clear bubble, 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 foundations to rooftop, rooftop to foundations, 4 corners of the property, we're done, let's go. I think the very first time I did a proper clearing with training probably took me an hour. And the only reason it took me an hour is because I had 2 kids in the house, my husband came home from work in the middle of it, and I kept having to stop and start over. Well, you don't really need to start over. You just need to get to that place where you're like, okay, we did that. I'm feeling good. I'm doing that. And then I was afraid I was saying the words wrong. Well, as long as you're not using it in fight mode, the words are okay, but words in themselves have a connotation that can change it. So if you're taking something good, like in Jesus' name, oh, I hate it when people do that, or in God's name, you're using it as a weapon against something, and that energy is completely blasted into the deepest, darkest negativity. This will work. It works every time. Sometimes you're the only one who can do it. You can do this for other people. You can go to someone's house and you can do it. But I do ask that you teach them why you're doing it, why it works, how it works. If you're not sure, like I have some videos on our World of Wonders that's, old and kind of, oh, I did it a long time ago and they're kind of weird. But they work just as well today as they did 1,000 years ago. And the reason that it did work back then is because we didn't have all of the fears and the anxieties and things that are with us today. Yes, we were afraid, a wild animal might kill me, or did I get food today? We had distractions. But a lot of First Nations people, like all of the First Nations people around the world, had a one-on-one connection with Source. And that is why their practices still work. And you can't go to sacred things like powwows and not feel that energy change. It's because they've been connected for thousands of years, and we have basically forgotten how to do that. So this is why it works. I know it's long-winded, and I'm sorry, but you really do need to know the understanding behind it. And I hope this is helpful. Keep the chats, keep posting the pictures, and I'll keep saying my pieces long-winded and typed, and I'll see if I can add some videos on my site and then just put up a little click, go to my site. So I felt this was really important to get out there. I hope this is helpful, and good luck, be safe, and hopefully I'll be seeing you on the page soon.